Hi folks, this video is all about my Mark II twin jet plane based on the Canberra Bomber. I quickly built the Mark I version to get an idea of the size and weight necessary to match my twin EDF jets, which run brushed motors on a 1S battery. Although the Mark I flew well, it didn't last very long, but it told me everything I needed to progress to the next stage. There are a few weaknesses with the Mark I version. First of all, the fuselage, which was made from low-density foam, cracked when I did my first landing. Also, the wing cracked where it joined the main midsection, so I need to make that stronger next time. I then set about building the Mark II version from lessons learned from the Mark I. I made new EDF housings which were going to be embedded in the wing and more Canberra-like. The housing came out as 11 grams. I did some thrust tests using this long tube versus the short EDF housing. I got 23 grams from the short housing and about 20 grams from the long tube. Note the difference in sound. I also reduced the wingspan a little and increased the chord to make that more Canberra-like as well. I cut the fuselage from high-density foam, which was much stronger and able to be sanded. I recycled the tail fin and tail plane from the original. I used my foam cutter to cut a groove out of the fuselage to house the wing. Finally, I installed the motors and the radio gear. To protect the underside and allow for rise-off-ground takeoffs, I quickly designed and printed some dolly wheels which could slip under the fuselage. This plane is step 2 on the evolutionary ladder. The final specs are as follows. The Mark II version, with its larger motor cowling and dolly wheels, came out about 10 grams heavier. My last day of indoor aviation flying for the year was at Mullumalum on the 4th of December. I was quite anxious to see how my new Canberra Bomber Mark II would fly, especially in front of all my flying buddies. Let's see how I got on. Here are all my planes lined up ready to fly. I had found out that the dolly wheels were too close together and using the differential throttles was too difficult to taxi, so I had to do a hand launch. Yay, it flew, and I managed to keep it in the air once I sorted out the elevator. I was able to keep it in the air with about half throttle. That's the right hand stick on my transmitter. On this first flight, I'm using a 500 mAh battery which weighed 13 grams. Seems to be flying just a little bit tail heavy. Maiden flight accomplished. On this next flight, I used an 18 gram 500 mAh battery. I've put a bigger battery on the front. Yeah. And I'm flying with quite a bit of up elevator at the moment. It's a handful.
Okay, try some down it.
Yeah, I'm just letting it gradually come in.
Yeah.
As I get the feel for it.
It's standing on its nose and terribly sensitive to control, which is tail heaviness.
Yeah.
Bigger battery still.
I do have a bigger one.
Yeah. Worth a try? That's going to be gorgeous.
Dave, what are you doing? This time I'm flying an 800 mAh battery which weighs 23 grams. Oops, not me this time. I had a good 4.5 minute fly with this battery before I decided it was time to land. Not the world's best launch.
Whoa!
This flight was going
Whoa.
okay until...
Sorry, I got taken out. I got taken out. Oh, too low. I'll just come about and fill swarms out.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
How the hell we hit each other?
What's that?
How the hell we hit each other?
Happens all the time. So, what did I learn from Maiden Flights? Well, I'm pleased it flew so well. Also, I'm pleased with the strength. Even when one of the foamies took me out and it crash landed, it didn't even get a scratch. Also, the new wing embedded EDF housings worked well and didn't reduce the thrust too much. I was still able to fly at about half throttle. Okay, so for the Mark III version, what could I improve on? I'd still like to reduce the weight a little. One of the guys in the club said that I should be able to print the EDF housings using foamy PLA. This would about half the weight of that if it is indeed strong enough and I'm able to print it really thinly. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to print the fuselage using 3D CAD. This will be quite a leap of knowledge for me in 3D modelling, but it's something that I'd like to do to make it look really Canberra-like. I'd like to make the undercarriage more scale and have tricycle undercarriage rather than the dolly that I used for the Mark II, and possibly incorporate that into the EDF housing. I'll probably make the tail fin and tail plane a little bit larger. The tail fin is not in the jet stream, so it makes it really hard for taxiing. I'll rearrange the location of everything so that I can bring the CG a little bit forward. This means I'll be able to fly it on a lighter battery. Well, that's it for this round. What's coming up? Well, I've got a few things on the boil. Of course, I'll have the Mark III Canberra to build. Also, I'm researching a 3D printable slope soarer that can be dismantled and put in a carry case so I can go slope soaring when I travel overseas. Watch out for my end of year Indoor Aviation video. I had a chance to visit the Frankston Indoor Aviation recently, so I've now visited all 5 venues. As usual, I'll publish a disaster vault video for all the mishaps that's happened during the year. I've also just ordered a lightweight run-can camera so I can do FPV recordings on my small planes. I'm in the process of visiting all the hang gliding sites around Victoria, so I'll be compiling a video of slope soaring at these sites in the near future. And as usual, if you would like to follow my adventures and see what's happening with my projects, please consider subscribing to DavesFunRC, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.